That was some good name dropping. Just briefly,
David
David
Beckham.
Beckham.
You know, £5 you got like 12 beers.
Yes.
Was that what you?
Yeah, I drank 7 of them last night.
My milkshake brings all the voice to the yard. We're just a couple of business anchors. Something business anchors podcast. Jingle too long. Jingle too long.
Welcome to the Business Anchors podcast. We're your hosts, absolute business anchors, Lloyd Knowlton and
Dan Knowlton.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you were going to realise that you had to say it yourself. Very, very good start.
Thank you.
In this episode, we're going to work out how we can get through these tough times in our lives, how we can use this time as an opportunity to be creative. I'm going to reveal how my creativity once landed me in A&E. And we have our first ever guest, our resident expert in survival, creativity and positivity, YouTube Megastar Robbie Knox.
Woo!
Hello.
Hello.
Very excited to be first guest.
Yeah.
I know, it's quite, to be honest.
We agreed not to have any guests for the first year.
Yeah, I have to say, Robbie, we agreed. Dan and I agreed no guests for the first year. We'll work out what we're doing on our own first. And then I got excited and messaged you.
Got a bit giddy, and it was too awkward to say no after that, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm very excited. Oh, great, yeah, let's do this. If I was to turn around and say, actually, my brother says I'm not allowed. That would have been a bit awkward, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have been. I mean, in many ways, I don't know, this might be a bit premature, having only been speaking to you off air for a few minutes, but I would consider myself to be the third Knowlton brother at this point.
Well...
Unless, or is there one? Is there a third one?
I'll take... No, that would have been awkward.
We're looking for one, so you can fill that role.
Yeah.
I thought there might be a rogue black sheep brother who's...
No.
Yeah, we don't talk about him, Robbie.
Yeah.
God. So, Robbie, I mean, I assume our whole audience know exactly who you are because you are a YouTube megastar. But you know, you're doing. You've got. It seems like you've got your fingers in a lot of pies. Different podcasts. I see you making videos with tubes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you've got a more boring day job or what's going on. But what do you do, Robbie? Who are you?
So I'll give you a brief. I'll give you a brief rundown of my life. I went to school as a traditional. I went to university for 3 years. I went to Canada for a year, just because I didn't want to get a job. Then I came back and I worked at a TV studio in London for a year, making tea on things like 15 to 1 and The Weakest Link. And
Fancy.
then I went and worked.
The Weakest Link.
Yeah,
I used to love that.
Oh, Dan's impressed with The Weakest Link.
First series it was. Yeah.
That was the best. That was the best.
That was when it was a real underground indie Weakest Link. And then I went to work at Soccer AM at Sky for 7 years, and then I went to work on an internet TV channel with Simon Fuller, who did Spice Girls and managed David Beckham and stuff like that. So we did that for a couple of years, and we spent £3 million.
That was some good name dropping. Just briefly,
David Beckham.
I had nothing to do with it, but someone else did. I knew the man. I vaguely would occasionally see the man who knew David Beckham.
You once walked past him.
And then we spent £3 million and made no money, so we got kicked out. And then I didn't like getting made redundant, so I started my own business making videos and stuff. So that's what I do now day to day, and then I also do other things like podcasts and YouTube and things.
Yeah. I assumed that you're into video production because we are as well. Our agency, we've got a small agency here in Kent doing video production and social media stuff. But so you really do fit in well as the third Knowlton brother.
Yeah.
I think this is working out perfectly.
I think so. Yeah. It's good.
Yeah. Nice. So, Robbie, we do a strange thing here where each episode we introduce our drink for the podcast. I mean, the more we do it, I'm starting to wonder why we do it. I don't think it's of interest to anyone.
No.
I like it.
Robbie likes it.
I've listened to all the podcasts, by the way. I'm a completist.
Wow,
nice.
That's so cool.
So today's drink, we've got some coconut water down. Oh, that hasn't gone down well. No?
Why have you got that?
No. Well, I think it's good for hydrating yourself.
Thanks.
And I like coconut.
Do you like coconut water, Robbie? Are you a coconut water man? Or?
The only time I ever drink coconut water is I run occasionally. When I've done a half marathon or marathon, they tend to give you coconut water at the end, and I always think, I wish I just had normal water.
Yeah. It's like rank.
Yeah. To be honest, after my first sip, Robbie, I'm feeling the same. I think I've made a huge mistake.
I've brought water. I've got my own cup of water.
Nice. Is it coconut water?
It's normal water. It's gone through a filter in the fridge, but I haven't changed the filter for about 2 years. So I don't know if it still filters. But what I've done is I've put ice in it, and you might be thinking, it's not about hot a day, Robbie. Why are you putting ice in your water? Well, the reason is I know we're going to be here for a while, and I didn't want to drink all my water and then be like, oh, I've got quite a dry throat.
So clever.
So I thought if I drink it now, you'll see how much. It's quite a lot of ice. Then I might finish my drink and be gutted, and then I'll look back 10 minutes later and go, oh, there's some more water. So it's like I'm playing a long game.
I understand because I'm an ice in water drink all year round.
Yeah. See, Robbie, I see that as a man with no self-control. Has to use ice to stop him from doing something.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If you'd seen the amount of food and wine, if I'd eaten wine I've drunk during lockdown, you'd understand I have no self-control and have to use the freezer to help regulate me.
Yeah. I think we're going to be talking about. I've gone through a cupboard full of alcohol so far, so I think that needs to stop. But before we start asking Robbie for some really interesting stories, which he's going to tell, just setting him up for a failure there. We always ask you this at the start of the podcast. We've given you very little value so far, but please do rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on Spotify, all that good stuff. And check out the previous podcast. We did one about
Robbie's even listened.
Public speaking. Robbie, did you listen to the public speaking one?
I did listen to it. I really enjoyed that one because something I've sort of vaguely thought about. Like, I'd be terrible at the minute at public speaking, but I imagine it's the kind of thing, Dan, where when you practice, you'd be good at it. I think in a couple of years of being dreadful at public speaking, I'd be quite good at public speaking, and I sort of thought about it. So I found it really interesting. Listen to it. My friend Mike wrote a business book called, and it's something like How to Fail at Business or something. So the idea was it was like tips of things you shouldn't do, sort of thing like that, and you do the opposite of this. And he wrote it with someone he knew, and then they asked them to the guy who he wrote it with knew all about how to publish books and do this sort of thing. So this guy was sort of leading it. He said, look, I've booked as a public speaking gig in front of like 100 people, this big sort of theatre type thing. And Mike was saying, oh, that's great. They're getting good money, getting paid to do it, good money. Okay, that's good. He said, and the other guy went, well, look, what I've done is I've found this video from YouTube, this is motivational video, and it was set to set to like search for the hero inside. A hero comes along. That was it. So that nice. Hero comes along.
Very motivational.
And it was nice. Motivational images. And Mike was a bit like, oh, we're going to look like dicks a bit here. But the other guy had organised it, was really keen on it. So they thought, well, you've done all the work. You get to choose. So it was already against it from the start. And they came on stage to this thing, and the pictures didn't work on the video, so it was like they'd just given themselves entrance music, like as they're walking on, going, then a hero comes along, and everyone in the room was just
how long did it go on for?
I don't know, but they said it was just, Mike was again, this is horrific. Everyone was looking at them going like, why have you called yourself heroes to come on stage?
Oh my God.
To talk about your business book?
I'd die inside if that was me.
Yeah. If there was the worst, if you could outline the worst way to start a public speaking experience, it would be setting yourself up as this hero at the start whilst you're sweating at the side of the stage thinking this is going terribly wrong.
That is embarrassing.
Yeah. It's a big claim for your self-published business book.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So as this is the Business Anchors podcast, we should probably start talking about some businessy stuff. And we will let Robbie add some interesting bits to the podcast between our really boring conversation. Do you think that's a good idea, Dan?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, I think that might be a good...
I think you're being very harsh on yourself. I know self-deprecation is good and all that, but it is really good. I really enjoy it. I like the mix of helpful business insights and... basically therapy for you two, where you're sort of having passive-aggressive arguments about things that have happened.
It is quite nice. I enjoy it. It's a good combination.
I feel like we need to use that quote in all our podcast advertising. I like the mix of passive-aggressive.
Yeah, Robbie's face there. Big.
Brilliant.
I do a pose that you can use for the screen grab.
Yeah.
That's not used in audio.
Yeah. Yeah, to the listeners, Robbie just took all his clothes off and put his thumbs up. It was very strange, but we'll use it for advertising in future. So as we're upbeat so far, let's go dark first. Go to the really depressing state of the world at the moment of business. So I'll ask you, Dan, as if I don't know the answer. How's it affecting our business at the moment, Dan? This worldwide pandemic.
Yeah, so a couple of ways. The whole not being able to meet any other human beings in person is quite difficult to do sort of in-person video shoots and meet clients and things. So
luckily we're already showing our innovation. We're managing it.
Exactly. So that's been a struggle, but also any communication with clients has to be virtual. Our team's working remotely as well. So yeah, it's just been weird really. We've just had to also kind of mold some of our campaigns, our client campaigns, where we had these big video shoots planned, and now we're kind of molding them to use content already produced. But we've been quite lucky really, haven't we, that we're still fairly busy.
I think without a doubt we've been very lucky, because obviously there's some businesses that just kind of overnight can't physically work, which is obviously hard for anyone that's how they're earning their money. But I think we've been very lucky. We have had to adapt. Like you said, we can't do the video production stuff we normally do, but thankfully we got the digital side of it and weird stuff like this that we do that we can carry on in some kind of way.
What about you, Robbie? I'm interested to hear how life has changed for you.
So a lot of shoots got cancelled straight away. I was supposed to be at Mobile World Conference. I think that big thing in Barcelona got cancelled quite early on. It was in the news and stuff. That's like tens of thousands of people go to. I was supposed to be filming for Samsung, and that got cancelled really early on. And then since then, obviously now there's no shoots happening. My business. I give it backstory. I used to have an office in London and people working there sort of full time and a business partner at the time, and then after a while, when that sort of the business relationship with my business partner ended, I got rid of the office and the sort of staff, because I've not really got an interest in growing a big business. I'd like to have a business that enables me to sit at home and do the school run and stuff like that, and the things I like. I like doing, which is nice a lot of the time. But it also means, whilst it means I don't have wages to pay, I'm not worried about making payroll or anything at the minute like that. And everyone's freelance that I use to do work. It does mean I'm not really earning a lot of money for that, and I'm not covered by any of the sort of government compensation schemes and that. But on the other hand, there are other bits. I do podcasts for money as well. Not this one. I'm not going to send you anything. I should be clear.
Robbie's setting us up for a big financial situation when we have any more guests.
I did say clearly. I didn't. No, but a couple of other ones I do that are owned by other people that I do just as a presenter sort of thing. That I get paid for to do, and we've been doing those. I don't know if there is plans in place that whilst there is a bank of them recorded, if we run out, then we can do them remotely. So there is that angle, and I get a bit of money from YouTube ad revenue, and I've got a YouTube brand deal thing that I'm doing this month as well. So there's bits of things coming in.
I told you he's a YouTube megastar. Once you get a brand deal,
this is the first proper brand deal thing, really. So it's going to be you watch how passionately I endorse this product. I mean, the brand deal itself is good, but what I want to show is the precedent for how much I will sell my ass for money. I want that to be very clear to any potential brands that want to get involved. Yeah,
nice.
So I'm thinking for businesses and us as real people, individuals, where obviously in business there's less money going around, people are losing their income and stuff. I was thinking we should be giving some money-saving tips to the audience.
Okay.
And I'm thinking my first money... Well, no, actually, I've set... So I was going to say my first money-saving tip, right? I cancelled my gym membership. And about 3 days ago, I bought a cross-trainer. Mm-hmm. I've realised I've set this up as a money-saving tip, and then I realised I've spent £500 on a cross-trainer. Which is more than my annual gym subscription. Like so I'm not sure this is great advice, guys. Have you got any better advice?
I've cancelled my gym membership.
So you've cancelled your gym membership and not bought a cross trainer. So you're £500 up on me already.
Yeah. Right. I'm worse than Lloyd. My gym membership has been suspended automatically by the gym, but I have bought, in theory, for my wife, but also for me, a Peloton bike. Have you seen those? Exercise bikes.
Look fancy.
Yeah, they are fancy. They're supposed to be good, and the idea is it's an exercise bike, but it's connected up. I like a gadget, so it's connected up to a screen. You can do classes against other people around the world from your house, and you have to pay for the bike on 0% interest free. But basically, for the first 3 years, it works out about £100 a month, and then after that, it's like £40 a month once you've paid off the bike. Yeah. Which before my wife has suggested I've got absolutely not what a waste of money, just do classes on there. And then we're stuck inside. I thought, well, for that money anyone in the house can use it. So sort of that's 2 gym memberships at 50 quid a month for 3 years, and then 20 quid a month, maybe sort of justifying it.
So I'm thinking I need to use the cross trainer fairly regularly, and my wife, to make this worthwhile. But Robbie, you've really got to stick with this for the long haul to make this worth it.
Crazy amount of money.
Yeah, but you're a bit more sort of rural. I'm a bit close to London, so things are quite expensive here anyway.
Yeah. And you're a YouTube megastar as well, so
exactly.
He's
got brand deals coming out of his orifices, hasn't he? Yes.
Well, I figure if I do a video on the Peloton bike, I might make 30-40 quid of ad revenue from that. So really, I'm only paying about £98 a month when you take that off. So.
Nice, clever.
So all round, some great money saving tips there from all of us.
Another one. I've got one more.
Yeah.
I've actually just signed up to a beer subscription service as well.
I have too.
Well, which one, if that's acceptable?
Beer
52?
Beer 52.
52,
There was a crazy offer for £5. You got like 12 beers.
Yes.
Was that what you?
Yeah, I drank 7 of them last night. Yeah, it was great.
Oh, right.
It was the initial sign up £5.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, I think, 25 after that a month or something.
But you can just cancel it, can't you?
But I thought normally I'd definitely spend more than that a month kind of going out, having a couple of beers with friends and things. And I thought that was a good deal.
Yeah, I think that's good, I've paid £10 for 2 packs of coffee that I saw advertised on Instagram the other day. They've not turned up yet. But that's quite exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think
I love the sort of things we're excited by now that no one's allowed out.
I was always like this. Like, I've not changed. The world's come to me. Like, everyone's been brought down to my level.
I have been looking up different subscription services though. Now that you're kind of have to be inside, I was asking, there's tons. I did a post on LinkedIn asking for suggestions for cool subscription services, and there's like gin subscriptions. I saw coffee, even a snack subscription where you get sent a snack from a random country every month.
That would see. I have a feeling all these subscription services would be negative for me because I'd get excited, sign up to all these things, and then in about 6 months' time,
shitloads of food sent every day.
Why am I in so much debt? I've got 40 subscriptions for random snacks from Argentina. Okay, right, that's it.
But you know what? I think this is shown, and I'm bringing it round to business because someone's got to do it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you
but I think this shows the importance of diversification in everything, in what you do. For me, the fact I've got a diversified income from different things is helping me out at the minute. And also from a household point of view, I've up to now I've had milk delivered anyway. Because when you have kids, you need to get through a lot of milk. And normally, if you don't have milk, you go, "I just won't have milk in my tea" or whatever like that. But with kids, they go mental, so you can't run out of milk. So I thought I'd rather pay the extra bit to get milk delivered than go to the supermarket every few days and have to buy milk and have to remember to buy milk. So and now they've shut taking new customers to milk because people obviously go, I need to get stuff delivered. Whereas I can still get bread and a few other bits delivered through the milk service. So because I was diversified in my food delivery,
it's so clever.
It worked out quite well. Yeah. So I think that's quite good.
And now that they're not taking new customers, you're like this elite class of people that can get this milk and bread delivery.
Maybe I could subcontract milk, subsell. That's it. Subsell milk, so people who can't get milk, I can get extra milk now because I'm in there. I can up my milk. There's no
milk dealer.
My milk. I can be an illicit milk dealer. Yeah, I can get you. I've got some semi-skimmed, but it's going to cost you.
Welcome to the Business Anchors podcast, guys. We've got great ideas like being a milk dealer to get you through this crisis.
There's been some. I'm kind of know the kind of speaker network, and some.
I'm a public speaker.
No,
sorry.
Because I do public speaking, like I mentioned in the previous podcast, but that's just one small part of what we do. But some speakers are literally like they're a public speaker, and that's their thing.
Job. That's the only way.
Some of them I've spoken to have literally just overnight their revenue's just gone down to zero.
I think you're right, Robbie, with the diversification of different revenue streams and things, rather than because the traditional model for the last however many decades has been kind of get a job, they pay you an amount of money, and that's how you live.
Do it for 30 years, maybe move once. Get a carriage clock, retire and die.
Yeah. Sounds positive.
And luckily, I mean, we didn't fancy that. But I think the fact that our business, because again, we could have just been video production, we could have just been the digital stuff we do. But Robbie, you've got more streams. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not YouTube megastars.
Yeah,
we
true.
don't have the podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
I heard you described as a podcast slut the other day on a podcast I was listening to, Robbie. I mean, that's
fairly. I'm fairly slutty as podcasts go.
got so many things going on.
Yeah.
But we didn't plan to have to be. We can't say that. Oh yeah, we're really clever because we planned
I mean,
to
we weren't
diversify.
planning for a world pandemic. You know,
No,
that wasn't
yeah,
the
exactly.
reason.
We
We
just
just that. It was
randomly-
It was more that we find all these things interesting and want to do more of these different things that we like doing, and hopefully will make money.
So how should it? So if a taking it back to business, if a business is listening and they're thinking, shit, I've got no money because no one comes to my shop anymore, or you know, the world's changed, so what do they do? How do they one, decide whether they just find an online alternative, or two, kind of just sit tight and hold it out? Should everyone be just making an online course of what they do, or like a?
Well, I mean, obviously you can see a lot of people doing that online at the moment, just doing exactly what they do and taking it online, which I think is the simplest and probably quickest way you can start trying to get money, and if that works for your type of business. But I think my personal view, in reality, I think some people, and I think I'd be the same, are kind of trying to cling on to what they did before this started, and are reluctant to let that go. But I think in reality, you've got to just, I mean, in 10 years' time, no one's going to go, oh, why did you do that other weird thing for 6 months?
Yeah,
You know, I've
yeah.
lost all my respect for you. In that global
Yeah.
pandemic, you changed what you did for a bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you've just got to.
And not everyone's a good fit for an on. There's a funny story which we can't name where this was, but we went to an event at some point over the last few years, and they sort of celebrated a business owner who, and his backstory. They celebrated him as you know, this is what you should do. His backstory was. He ran a certain type of business, but it was failing, and he was basically a shit at that business.
I thought you were just going to say he was shit.
No.
He was probably a lovely person.
No, I've met him. He's a lovely person. But what he did was, because he was failing in that business, he then set up an online program to train other people how to run successful businesses in that area. So Lloyd and I were sitting there thinking, why are they celebrating this guy? Because he's failed and he can't run a successful business. Now he's teaching other people how to run a successful business.
They're going, how brilliant. He's done this. He's making loads of money now. He failed. And now he's just teaching other people how to do that. And it was kind of like, hang on, that should be the last person that teaches people how to do that. What's going on here?
Yeah, when I'm looking at sort of content from business influencers and stuff, I do tend to sort of do a cursory check to see if they have any knowledge. So Gary Vaynerchuk, I go, okay, this guy's actually done something. I can believe in what he's done. But there's other people who will tell you how to do business, and whose business is telling people how to do business. And you look at the other parts of their business, and that wasn't particularly successful. So I mean, I suppose it's working, but it's a weird, it's a weird thing, isn't it? It's like Inception.
I mean,
I've never seen Inception. I don't know why I said that.
Thankfully,
It's probably like Inception.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, and those type of businesses should now use that quote from Robbie to advertise their businesses.
Yes.
Probably like Inception.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Sorry, Robbie.
No. I was about to say my microphone. I'm just. Can you? Sorry to annoy Lauren here. I'm just going to try and tighten this. So sorry to cause a possible cut point for you, but
No, that's okay.
I'd rather.
I like that angle there, Robbie, of your crutch.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's just
Right. Yeah.
my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
Yes,
Okay.
For the listeners, we may or may not cut a bit out there because it's going to be so good for the viewers to see that shot of Robbie's crotch.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not
we should
sure
get
we
that
can
in.
cut it out of the podcast. That's the only issue.
I mean, there is a slight hole in these jeans. I noticed I've just got some new jeans delivered. So it depends. I mean, you might want to double check exactly what you're putting in.
Yeah.
You're trying to hook the
Lauren,
listeners in.
we may need to censor a part of Robbie's body for the editing. But yeah. Okay. So another thing that's changed for a lot of businesses and people working on their own is the whole working from home thing, which we've certainly been. We've come in today and we're doing our kind of social distancing thing, and Lauren's sitting very far from us and that kind of thing, filming this. But the majority of the time we're all working from home now. What's your kind of setup? Because Robbie, I assume you work from home a lot. Anyway,
I do that. Well, when I'm not filming, I do all the time now. As I say, I'd had an office, and there's good bits about having an office, and it is useful. But everyone I use were freelance. Well, almost everyone I use was freelance. I did have staff for a bit, but and I trust them all, and I'm paying them to do a job rather than a day rate in most occasions or things. So there's no need to be in the same part for most things, and it's easy to meet up if you do have to be in the same place. So I have an office in my house that's legally a cupboard. It's got no windows, and you can't. If the building inspector comes around to get signed off, I have to put box in it and pretend it's not a cupboard. In fact,
it's all right. We won't tell anyone that.
Yeah, keep that quiet. I'm sure building inspector doesn't look.
We'll keep it amongst the three people that listen to this episode.
It's absolutely fine. So it's legally not a cupboard, but it actually works out quite well for video editing because you haven't got outside light, and you can go if you're colour grading and stuff. It's all right. And a lot of the time, a lot of the work I do is quite simple. Me filming it and me editing it, depending on the budget and things like that. It's quite a lot of day-to-day stuff like that. And then where they've got bigger budgets or more ambitious projects, I'll like direct it and get other people in working on things. So to be honest, a lot of the time I am working at home, and I quite like it because I've got 3 young kids, and as I say, I don't have ambitions to buy and to grow and sell a business. I just want a business that enables me to do the things I enjoy, which is basically hang around my kids, go skiing once or twice a year, and that's kind of it.
Yeah,
I think I'm quite blessed that I don't. Blessed #blessed that I don't. I'm quite lucky that I'm not really into anything. Like I was in WH Smith's recently. I thought I might buy a magazine, and there were like 1,000 magazines. I was like, I'm not interested in any of these magazines. So if I was into cars, I'd need to make a lot of money to buy a nice car, but I don't. So I drive a 2008 Vauxhall Vectra Estate.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah. So great advice there. Just don't be into anything.
Just try not to like
right.
stuff.
Yeah.
just sit and wait to die.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how do you? Because I tried working from home the other day and I absolutely hated it. I've got a 4-month-old son and he started screaming, and we've got a fairly small house, so it was just impossible to try and work. How do you work when there's kids running around?
Having your own room to do it in. I mean, I'm not in the garden here because I thought it'd be a nice idyllic setup for you. It's because my wife's probably shouting at the kids inside. They're screaming. They don't want to do homeschooling. It's a much more pleasant atmosphere for you. So just
thanks for that.
Block it out mostly.
Just don't speak to them.
Like at the minute, I can't really do much work because I am homeschooling the kids 4 days a week. My wife works 4 days, and she's working from home. She works for a company, so she's a charity actually. So it's quite good. Again, on diversification, the fact that we've got an income that's a wage, salaried, PAYE income, and me doing my own thing works out quite well because we have that sort of balance of those sort of things. I do think it can be quite hard if you haven't got your own space, and people who are stuck in sort of London types might be stuck in a small flat or something with kids. It must be very difficult to do. Yeah.
I did, and I mean, you have to admit, Dan, I put this big document together for all of our staff, kind of trying to guide them in how we can make sure we have everything set up for everyone working from home, and did a lot of work to it. Dan just sort of was like, "Oh yeah, that's good, Lloyd." I didn't bother reading any of it or doing any of it. So we'd kind of all been working from home for about a week, and we've got our little setups, made sure we've got everything we need to make sure we're comfortable and we'll be able to work normally. And Dan was in the office on his own, and then was it yesterday or the day before?
Yesterday,
Dan's first day of trying to work from home, and he suddenly realised that sitting on a plastic chair that becomes uncomfortable after sort of 10 minutes, and having a tiny laptop and a screaming baby next to you isn't the most productive way to work.
It didn't really work for some reason.
Big surprise.
Yeah. I think you do need your own space, otherwise it's very hard.
Yeah, I used to work with I call him the working from home genius, mainly because I can't reveal his name.
Right.
But my old job that was at years ago now, the owner of the company was fairly wealthy, and so he used to only come in from 2 p.m. and he used to stay until about 9 p.m. That was when he chose to come into work and work. So my boss, this narrows it down to a couple of people now if anyone knows me, but my boss at one point, he used to tell everyone else he was working from home until 2 p.m. almost every day, and then he used to come in at 2 p.m. and we didn't realise till years down the line when I think he got sacked for this, but he was telling the owner that he was always in the whole day before he got in.
Oh, really?
So he'd managed to tell everyone he was working from home, actually only work from 2 till 5, and then he'd kind of be like the owner at 5. Right, see, obviously I've done a full day's work here.
really clever.
See you later. And I just think, absolute working from home genius.
There are a lot of tactics, aren't there, that you can use when working from home if you're an employee. Like, it's not, if you own the business, it's not as much. But things like sending an email at 5 to 5 to show that you've done the full day. Go early and late with your company-wide emails that you've managed to
working
get in.
From home
good.
hacks.
That's a good working from home hack. And then and all that. Turning the sound down on daytime TV when you're on a conference call. Things like that.
Even sometimes not doing the 5 to 5 email, but just doing like a 7:30 p.m. email. Oh, sorry guys, I meant to get this to you at the end of the day, but it's been so hectic.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if our team are listening and completely ignore this advice from Robbie, he's a terrible influence. He is the black sheep of the Knowlton family.
There's the reason I was cast out. It's like the bloke who got the brother who started Puma and broke up with the Adidas guy. I'm like the one who went off on my own. Rival.
Yes.
Something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just a much less successful version of those guys. Is that what we're saying?
Shitter version of those.
Exactly.
That's us.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, guys, we've been talking for far too long about all this stuff. So I think for our viewers and listeners, for the first time, I know you're already shocked we've got a guest on, and it's absolutely revolutionary. But it's also a bloody two-parter.
What?
So,
wow.
Yes, yeah, I know, Robbie.
Bam.
That's the exact sound that all our listeners are using right now.
And we've saved all the good bits for the second part, which is why you're probably going to tune in.
Actually, I've got some very strange, a couple of very strange stories in the second part, and you should hear the stories that Robbie's going to tell. He's promised absolutely hilarious stories all the way through part 2.
Can I just say, Lloyd, this podcast is amazing. How much are people paying to listen to this?
Well, Robbie, they should be paying, but actually it's free worldwide.
Wow, that kind of commitment to value would make me call Knowlton if I had any marketing needs, to be honest. Very impressive. I can't believe it.
I know. And we'll talk about that 6-figure deal that we're working on later, Robbie, after the podcast, once we get off this.
Are 5 of them zeros at the beginning of the number?
Yeah, don't give that away, Robbie.
£1 deal.
Thank you for listening, guys. Join us in part 2, which will be available next week. Or if you're late to the show, it'll already be available. So that's a bonus. So please rate and review. Thank you very much, Robbie Knox. And we'll see you in about 3 seconds. And the listeners will see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye. Was I supposed to say bye?
Who knows?